Welcome back, everyone. Joy, 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 joy. I'm not sure any politician anywhere at any time has ever brought joy to anyone. Joy is not an emotion associated with politics. Nevertheless, joy has been chosen as a campaign buzzword by the team almost certain to be the next president and vice president of these United States. However, so far, I can only detect one group of people who may experience something like joy. Of course, I'm referring to the Jihad class that has become so prominent in the West recently. You know them: vulnerable, yet victorious; vile, yet vindicated; violent, yet victims. But why would the Islamist class in America and beyond experience joy with this new regime? I think a regime change will be so significant because, at least at the time of recording this video, it's well known that the U.S. does not have a functioning president. But when he was kind of half-functioning as president, he seemed happy enough to be guided by the Islamist class of his party when he thought that it was necessary to maintain political power. However, the new regime looks a bit different. Early warnings indicate that the Harris Walls campaign will put the ideology of disgraceful people from various Islamic activist groups to people like Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, the Dearborn Coalition, and brats at Western universities. Yes, that wonderful ideology will be front and center. Let's look at two of many pieces of evidence for this joyous forecast for jihadis. First, modern Western revolutions require changing the language. In a world with no real truth, we can create truth when we speak, when we express ourselves. One corollary of this is that even if something's actually false, we can repeat it enough times to make it true. But here's the key for this video: the reverse works as well. Thus, the savior of Western democracy announced in front of a Muslim crowd, apparently hijabless, that we are to end terms like radical Islamic terrorism. Now, I recall a story from the not-too-distant past of some swine from a group called Hamas, which enjoys overwhelming Palestinian approval ratings, by the way, tossing a grenade inside of a house a father and his sons were cornered in. Their father shielded his sons from the blast and was, of course, killed. The sons then wandered, wounded, around the house in shock, while the Hamas pigs proceeded to make themselves at home to some soda in the refrigerator while asking where the mother was. Also remember stories about grandmothers being murdered, some of them with video proof posted gleefully on social media for their families to see. I heard calls to parents from jihadis filled with joy at their conquest, their victories over the oppressors, throwing off the yoke of colonization, one innocent civilian at a time. I hope I got all the buzzwords in there at the end. And very recently, I read a report of a failed suicide bombing attempt that illustrates, mercifully, that at least some of these people are as stupid as they are evil. Now, I don't know what we're supposed to call all of this stuff, formerly known as radical Islamic terrorism. All I know is that we shouldn't say radical Islamic terrorism. Stop saying it, and it goes away. Second, future President MD Soot has already met with the head mayor of Dearborn, Michigan. You didn't hear about this because it was, well, a secret for a time. But who is the mayor of Dearborn, Michigan? What's he like? What does he believe? Does he like Jews? You already know the answers to these questions. He's the mayor of Dearborn, and he can be found in all of the predictable places, along with one of the worst people to ever serve in the U.S. Congress, like at this event, the People's Conference for Palestine, where speakers lauded October 7th and parroted all of the stupid buzzwords like resistance and Palestinian struggle and the rest of their garbage talking points. But another mystery. What was the secret meeting about with the Imam mayor of Dearborn? Well, the meeting certainly included at least two agenda items. First, Harris knows the Islamists have their claws in her and her party. She just wants them to please not burn down the Democrat National Convention, an effort that was largely successful. And second, she wants the votes of the so-called uncommitted Hamas lovers in Dearborn in November. That's what the secret meeting was about. Now, was I there? Of course not. Am I completely guessing here? Yes. Am I right? Absolutely. You see, these people aren't that hard to figure out. And what about that dumpster fire of a vice presidential pick? Well, as it turns out, he likes funding Islamic terrorism. Not as much as Biden, but I'm sure he wishes he could do more. The Washington Examiner reports that the Tim Walz administration awarded $2 million to a Muslim group fundraising for an al-Qaeda-linked charity. News of the Wall's administration's grants to the IANA, that's the Islamic Association of North America, a name sufficiently generic and vague to make you wonder, I wonder what they do. News of the Wall's administration's grants to the IANA come as the Democratic vice presidential candidate faces backlash after a series of Washington Examiner reports revealed his ties to Muslim cleric Assad Zaman. As Minnesota's governor, Walz has repeatedly hosted Zaman, who shared a pro-Adolf Hitler movie on social media and defended the October 7th attack. Moreover, according to unearthed footage, Walz referred to Zaman as a master teacher at a 2018 event held by the Zaman-led Muslim American Society of Minnesota, a name sufficiently generic and vague to make you wonder, I wonder what they do. The Muslim American Society of Minnesota partners with the IANA. We should all be shocked, I tell you, shocked, that a Muslim cleric expressed pro-Hitler sentiments. The more things change, the more they stay the same. The Washington Examiner has done a really good job looking at this issue. I'll put a link in the description box. You can check that out. For now, let's look at just one more nugget. Rama Worldwide, the charity that receives fundraising help from the Walz administration-backed IANA, has touted its participation on social media in a pro-Palestinian aid campaign with Kuwait's Islamic Heritage Revival Society. The Islamic Heritage Revival Society, reviving Islamic heritage. That's not quite as vague as those Western organizations. Kuwait's Islamic Heritage Revival Society faced Treasury Department sanctions in 2008 for backing al-Qaeda, and according to a January Washington Post report citing U.S. officials, is part of a Hamas fundraising operation. Just last year, Rama Worldwide organized an event with Mohammed something or another, a Syrian cleric who has appeared on Al-Aqsa TV, the official network of Hamas, to call for the killing of gay people, the New York Post reported. Who would have thought funding an Islamic activist group could go downhill so quickly? Anyone, actually, who's paying attention. It's not that difficult. So what will it look like to have the most pro-Islamic president and vice president the U.S. has ever seen? Joy. Joy, joy, joy. Do you feel it? Do you feel the joy? Or are you an Islamophobe? In all seriousness, powerful Western leaders placating and or allying with Islamists like this is absolutely disgraceful. One wonders what it will take for people to wake up, if they ever will. Personally, I have my doubts. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.